I'm Jean-Marie Pittman, and I'm the Director of Accreditation for North America for GFAS. Today we're here to talk about the 4 pillars of environmental enrichment. Environmental enrichment enhances the quality of captive animal care by identifying and providing environmental stimuli necessary for optimal psychological and physiological well-being, with the goal of maintaining an animal's physical and psychological health by encouraging the expression of species-specific behaviors, increasing positive utilization of the environment, preventing or reducing the frequency of abnormal behaviors, and increasing the animal's ability to cope with challenges of captivity. Environmental enrichment can be divided into 4 basic categories: structural enrichment, object enrichment, food enrichment, and social enrichment. Structural enrichment is basically enclosure design and furniture that add complexity to the environment and promote species-specific behaviors. Some examples of structural enrichment include perching and climbing opportunities with a variation of structure diameter, such as perches of different sizes, motion, such as swings or ropes, resting areas, and textures. Nesting, den, or burrow areas with a variety of materials for lining the resting space, variation in light intensity, temperature, and humidity, a variety of substrates such as earth, sand, leaves, pine needles, bedding, rock, pebbles, or wood chips, visual barriers such as plants, rocks, screens, tunnels, or burrows, and water features such as ponds, misters, pools, waterfalls, and tubs. Now, these are not all the examples of structural enrichment. There's lots of other examples that you could use as well. And it's important to bear in mind that not all of these examples are appropriate for every species. So structural enrichment should be tailored to the species involved. So some examples of structural enrichment. The Coatimundi on the top left photograph is utilizing 2 different types of enrichment simultaneously. The ropes and the rope ladder are providing structural enrichment, while the soccer ball is providing object enrichment. In the top right photograph, large trees and climbing structures with platforms are being used as structural enrichment. The meerkat enclosure on the bottom also includes 2 types of enrichment. The trees, grass, branches provide structural enrichment and are being used to stimulate climbing, while the artificial termite mound is used to stimulate foraging behavior. In the gorilla enclosure, the natural plants, rocks, and logs are providing structural enrichment. Object enrichment. So object enrichment is also called cognitive or sensory enrichment. And it's basically objects that encourage inspection and manipulation and promote species-specific behaviors. Objects should be selected both for their mental stimulation and their ability to provide novel experiences. So some examples of object enrichment might include tactile enrichment, such as plastic, food, cloth, metal, tree bark, brush, boards, or ice cubes. Visual objects such as mirrors, vistas, so where the animal can actually see outside of its enclosure, mobiles, and bright colors. Olfactory or sense of smell enrichment, so things such as spices, natural scents, animal hair, or food cooking, and auditory enrichment that the animal can hear, such as bells, chimes, whistles, music, white noise, or vocalization recordings. And again, these are just some of the examples of object enrichment. There's lots of other things that can be used for object enrichment, and not all of these examples are appropriate for all species. So object enrichment should also be tailored for the species involved. Some examples of object enrichment. So in the top left photograph, a lion is investigating a cardboard giraffe and is exhibiting some of her hunting instinct and skills. Moving objects can provide even greater enrichment opportunity. The top right photograph shows how suspending objects for enrichment can increase their effect. Instead of simply tearing this box apart, this leopard has to work to get the box off the hanger. The bottom left photograph depicts a small parrot with a toy that is providing not only an opportunity to investigate a moving object, but there's also a bell inside that's providing auditory stimulation as the object is manipulated. The photograph on the bottom right is depicting three types of enrichment: structural, object, and social enrichment. Here, structural enrichment is provided in terms of vegetation and rope swings. Object enrichment is provided in terms of specially designed enrichment balls, and social enrichment is provided in terms of other conspecifics. There's other animals in the enclosure with the lemur. Object enrichment is greatly enhanced when there's more than one animal in the enclosure. Food enrichment. Varying food choices and food presentation, including the use of puzzle feeders and other devices that increase food procurement time. So they increase the amount of time that the animal spends actually getting the food and manipulating the food rather than just eating it out of a bowl. Food enrichment should include novel food items and a variation in food presentation. Some examples of food enrichment include hiding food in puzzles, tubes, logs, or toys, scattering it in leaves, hay, or other substrate, freezing treats in ice cubes or mixing them with peanut butter or small seeds, offering novel food items not normally consumed, such as giving fruit to carnivores, offering food that's varied in shape, color, and texture, and offering food in the whole form, such as nuts, pumpkin, squash, or whole carcasses, where the animal has to tear the food apart in order to consume it. Again, not all of these examples are appropriate for all species, and there's lots of other food enrichment that's not included in this section. So it is important to be sure to tailor your food enrichment to the species involved. So some examples of food enrichment. The top left photograph depicts white-nape mangabeys that are utilizing a puzzle feeder constructed from a large water bottle. Small holes have been drilled in the sides of the water bottle and various small treats placed inside. The mangabeys have to turn and manipulate the bottle to get the treats out. The photo also depicts structural enrichment in the form of branches and social enrichment in the form of multiple animals sharing the space and the enrichment. The top right photograph depicts two African painted dogs interacting over a portion of a whole carcass. Here the dogs are enjoying both food enrichment and social enrichment and exhibiting some very natural behaviors. The bottom left photograph, a cardboard box, is providing foraging opportunity for a chimpanzee who must reach into the box to retrieve the food items. And on the bottom right, feed has been scattered amongst the leaves, providing the chickens with an excellent opportunity to exhibit their natural behavior of foraging amongst leaf litter for their food. Social enrichment. Social enrichment is providing the opportunity to interact in species-appropriate groups, either with conspecifics, animals of the same species, or interspecifics, animals of other species. Some examples of social enrichment include conspecifics, so mates, flocks, troops, interspecifics, where you're keeping mixed species of animals together, perhaps several different species of birds or different species of primates, or keeping domestic animals with wild animals or domestic animals of different species together, such as a horse and a donkey. Objects such as mirrors, plush toys, and auditory recordings can mimic social enrichment. Visual, auditory, or olfactory contact. So here we're an animal who can't be integrated into a situation with other animals, at least has either visual contact or can hear or smell the other animals. And last but not least, people, caretakers, trainers, and visitors can also provide some social enrichment, but that should be very limited, and the focus should really be on trying to provide enrichment with animals of the same species. So here are some examples of good social enrichment. Social enrichment is perhaps the most crucial form of enrichment. Conspecifics, animals of the same species, will often spend hours on end playing, grooming, vocalizing, and engaging in various other behaviors. No other form of enrichment can stimulate such complex and frequent expression of natural behaviors. So in the photograph on the left, several different species of macaws are enjoying both conspecific and interspecific social enrichment, and will spend much of the day vocalizing, preening, eating, playing, and bathing together. In the second photograph, a puppet is being used to provide social enrichment for a wattled crane chick. The third photograph depicts two meerkats engaging in social play, and they will play for hours. The fourth photograph depicts interspecific social enrichment, where a donkey and a horse are providing companionship and stimulation of natural behavior for each other.